Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. Now, if you are a Windows or Mac user, then you're probably really familiar with how the directories are set up. For example, most people who use Windows would know what a My Documents and Program Files folder is. Now, obviously, if you are using Linux, then things are different. And that's what I'm going to be covering today. Now, this is actually part of my series where I show you how to make the move from Windows or Mac over to Linux. And in my original video, I show you how to install VirtualBox and then install Linux Mint within VirtualBox. If you have not seen that video, you could check it out in the description area below. With that being said, let's head over to the virtual machine. And I'm going to go over how the directories are set up in Linux. Now, this is going to be a real general overview because this thing could get pretty in-depth because it follows a thing called the Linux Filesystem hierarchy standard. Okay, so I really won't be going over too many details. I'm just going to be going over the general basics. Okay, so first and foremost, the whole thing is your directories. Whenever you open up your home directory, it's going to look something like this. And this is actually your home directory. This is actually folders related to your user account. Okay, so to get an idea of what this really means, you're going to have to go into the real high level. Okay, so that gets into the whole Linux file system hierarchy standard, or the FHS. Okay, now like I said, I'm not going to get into too many details here. Okay, so I'm only going to go over a few directories. So just to make it real simple, this is the root directory. Okay, this is the highest level. Okay, and so whenever you open up your home folder, it actually goes into this directory. Okay, this home folder, and then your actual user account name. Okay, so if you had multiple account names, they would each have their own home directory folders. Okay, as you could see here. Now, I will come back to this file system and I will discuss some main folders that you might be using. However, for the most part, most Linux users, especially general users, they're pretty much never going to leave this home directory folder. Okay, so let's start off right here. So whenever you open up your home folder, you're going to see 8 main folders. Okay, and a lot of this is really self-explanatory, but I'm going to go over some of the main basic concepts. Okay, so first and foremost, you'll see a folder called desktop, and what that means is if there's anything on your desktop, it'll show up here. So let's go ahead and create some folders. Okay, I'm going to call this, okay, that's one folder, and I'm also going to create a file as well. Okay, so these right now are actually on my desktop. So if you click on this desktop, see, it actually shows everything that's on your desktop. And if I delete some stuff, and it'll be represented right here. Okay, so that's a quick way for you to see things on your desktop. You know, if you have a whole bunch of windows open and you don't want to minimize it or whatever, that's a simple way for you to access things on your desktop without going to the desktop. Okay, so that's what that's there for. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Okay, and the second folder is your documents folder. Now, a lot of these folders, they're actually used by programs. Okay, like for example, if you are using LibreOffice, you know, then it would save by default your documents in this folder. Okay, unless you specify a different folder. And then here, next up, you have your downloads folder. And you know, if you're using a browser, this is typically where it's going to save all downloads. For music, any music programs like Banshee or Amrock, they will save all the music here by default. And then pictures, you know, if you have photo editing programs like GIMP or whatnot, you know, this was it's going to be your primary main directory, you know, or other programs like a screenshot. Okay, that will actually save it right here. And then this directory public, this is basically anything that you put in here, it will be available to other users besides yourself, hence the name public. Okay, now templates is a little special, and I will come back to that. And videos, as the name implies, is any programs that are video related. For the most part, they would use this as their default directory when you are saving files. Okay, so going back to this template folders, now this is something that I think a lot of people don't really use, or maybe even know what it's used for. I myself don't really use it much, but let me show you why this is actually used and how it could be important. Okay, so if you right click on your mouse, you'll notice an option called create new document, and you saw me create a document earlier. So let me go ahead and create 2 documents. Okay, so I'm going to create one that's a text file, So let's go ahead and open that up, and I'm going to put some text in here. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. And I'm also going to create another file in the same folder, and it's going to be an HTML file with the standard hello world message. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that as an HTML file. Okay, so let's close this. So now obviously you see there's two different files. One is the text file, and then one is the HTML file, which will open up in your browser right there. So how is this related to the templates folder? Well, if you remember that when you could create a document by right-clicking your mouse, now you'll notice there's two new files, and that's what the templates folder is for. So if you wanted to create another test file with the exact same contents as this one, you just choose this and it will use this as a template. So if I press enter and I open it up, it's the exact same contents of this original file. So it used this file as a template. And the same thing would happen if you are using this other secondary HTML file. So see, there it is. It's the same exact contents. So this makes it really easy for you if you were using files, the same files over and over. It's really easy for you to use that as a template. And other programs use this folder as well if they wanted to store templates in here as well. So that's where this is useful. Okay, so if you're wondering, I wondered myself, but that's what it's for. And like I said, for the most part, most people would not even be basically curious in this, but it does have a use. And so that's really simple. This is the whole home directory, and I really feel like this type of directory structure is a lot simpler than what you have in Microsoft Windows. That's my personal opinion. Okay, so that is your home directory. Now let's go back to this whole really big root file system. Okay, now this could get extremely in depth, but I'm gonna really go over the main directories that you probably might go into, but it's pretty rare unless you are the type of person who will definitely tinker with your system or who is more advanced. Okay, but for the most part, most general users, they will stay in their home directory. Okay, so the first directory is the bin directory. Okay, now this has some default programs that are executed. Okay, these are very simple programs. Like for example, let me open up my command line, and you come here and like you're probably familiar with that command list. Okay, so whenever you type in that command, it actually executes this program in this bin directory. See, it's right there. So that's the ls command, and see, and then the same thing for mkdir, cp, many other commands. These are real basic programs that are built into this bin or binary directory. So anytime you type in these commands, it's actually executing these programs in the bin directory. So that's what this is for. Okay, so the second directory, it is very important because without it, you wouldn't be able to run a lot of your programs, and that is the Usr directory. Okay, there are many subdirectories, but just to make it real simple, the Usr directory is very similar to your program files directory. So whenever you install a program, most programs will install it in here in the Usr directory. Okay, and then similarly, there is another directory that is related to the Usr directory, and that is the etc directory, and this has all your configuration files. And so a lot of the same program folders that you have, they'll be in here because the configuration is actually stored here. So that's what that's for. Now there are many other directories, but like I said, this is more of a real general overview, and like I said, for the most part, most people are not gonna come to this root directory. Okay, now I might do a future episode on this where I go into more in depth, but like I said, most people are just gonna spend their time here. So that is really it for this particular episode. I just really wanted to give new users a very general basic understanding of how the directory structures are set up. And like I said, I love the way Linux is set up with their directory structure. I think it's very simple in terms of understanding, and there's not too much to it, in terms of where you need to go, which I really, really like. But like I said, it can get very complex if you want it to. So that's pretty much it for this episode. If you had any thoughts on the Linux directory structure or the file system hierarchy standard, be sure to leave it in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get a lot of value out of these videos, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you wanted to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/geekoutdoors. All that information is in the description area as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on another episode. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com. And I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.